I think every time I've been to Antarctica, that moment where I step out of the plane and onto the ice sheet, I kind of look around me and look at myself and go, I can't do this. And then you get on with it and you get the job done.
The job is to understand Earth's climate history. As a paleoclimate scientist, Professor Nerilie Abram uses the planet's natural archives to reconstruct climate variability and change over the last 1,000 years.
So when we stand on the top of the ice sheet and we drill down through those ice layers, we're drilling back through time.
Each layer provides a snapshot of the weather systems that formed it, which can be used to build a picture of how these weather patterns have changed over time.
The past helps us to understand how the climate system works, so that then we can look at that through the lens of what's happening now to the climate to understand the processes that we expect to play out in the future.
Their findings couldn't be clearer.
The data everywhere that we look shows us just how unusual human-caused climate change is. We're pushing the Earth system far outside of the natural envelope that it's operated in and that our human society has been built around.
That's a point Professor Abram has repeatedly made, including as a coordinating lead author of the 2019 IPCC Special Report on the Ocean and Cryosphere in a Changing Climate.
I do get very frustrated at how slow we've been to act, because the evidence is clear. It's been clear for a very long time. And we hear a lot of talk about emission reductions and what we're doing, but when we look at the data, we actually haven't gotten past peak emissions yet. So at the moment, we're still making this problem worse every year by the greatest amount that we ever have. So this is a coral from Christmas Island in the eastern Indian Ocean. A core that's this long maybe has 50 years of climate information.
Professor Abram uses coral records in a similar way to ice cores. Her team used them to reconstruct a pattern of climate variability called the Indian Ocean Dipole, and demonstrated these cycles are becoming more frequent and intense due to human-caused climate change. That's a big deal because of the major impact that cycle has on Australia's drought and fire risk. In 2019, a positive Indian Ocean dipole drove the extreme hot and dry conditions that led to the disastrous Black Summer bushfires.
And when we look at that evidence that we have from the past, we look at what we see in our observational record, and then we combine that with projections from climate models for the future, that tells us a consistent story that because of human-caused climate change, we expect this variability to become stronger and have more of an influence on Australia's climate in the future.
Professor Abram hopes becoming a Fellow of the Australian Academy of Science will help amplify the findings of climate change science.
The planet, I think, is worth fighting for. That sort of empowers me to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to get the scientific evidence out there so that it can be used to make good decisions about how we address climate change.